Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And it has been such a fantastic day today. I know I say that a lot on my videos, but I'm so relaxed, I'm so calm, I am so serene. It has just been a fantastic day. I lit a bunch of candles in the house, and it smells so delicious in here. And I have my coffee, and I've been making videos and listening to my audiobook, and it's just been such a fantastic day. We are supposed to get 4 inches to a foot of snow in like the next 24 hours, and I'm really excited about it. And I know it's funny that I'm excited about it, but you know, like when you live in the Midwest and you don't get any snow during the winter, it's kind of sad. Like, you know, part of living in Indiana and being, you know, stuck here is that you want to like experience winter a little bit. And I'm always kind of like, I'm real excited about snow until like Christmas, and then the 26th of December, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for spring. But if we're gonna have to endure cold weather, I'd like to get a little bit of snow too, as long as everybody's safe, of course. But so we're supposed to get some snow in the next 2 days, which I think is gonna be kind of fun. You know, get some snacks, sit at home, watch some movies, read some books. My husband doesn't have to work or do anything this weekend, so we'll get to kind of just hang out here. It's gonna be, I think it'll be kind of a fun weekend. So anyway, kind of a romantical, fun weekend around the house with the dogs and my husband. So anyway, I read my meditations this morning, as I do every morning, but one of the meditations I did not read, I saved because I turned it, I opened it, and I saw the topic, and I was like, okay, I'm going to save this, and I'm going to read this on video, because I want to see what it has to say. And that is from Melody Beatty's The Language of Letting Go, and the topic for January 10th is fear. And I thought, you know, this is such a great topic to talk about on my Peterisms channel, because we don't talk enough about fear, I don't think. You know, like realistic fears and fears of like, you know, insecurities and things like that, and fears of outcomes and all this kind of stuff. There's so many fears, you know, that we have out there. And I think that a lot of our actions and a lot of our lack of actions, you know, towards trying to achieve our goals or our dreams or living the lives that we want to live are based in fear. Whether it's based on the tapes that we run in our head, because I think sometimes we are our worst critics, or if it's based on what other people have implemented into our minds, that we aren't good enough, we can't achieve that and whatever, and so fear, you know, or we've seen other people do it and they have fallen short. And so our fears are more realistic. But I think it's a good topic to talk about. So I haven't read this meditation. I'm sure I've read this meditation at some point in my life because I've read this book for years. But I haven't read it today, and I'm going to read it, and then I will tell you what I think. Okay. Fear, January 10th. Do not be too timid and squeamish about your actions. All life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. What if they are a little coarse, and you may get your coat soiled or torn? What if you do fail and get fairly rolled in the dirt once or twice? Up again, you shall never be so afraid of a tumble. Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was incidentally one of my mom's favorite writers. Fear can be a big stopper for many of us. Fear of fragility, fear of failure, fear of making a mistake, fear of what others might think, fear of success. We may second guess our next action or word until we talk ourselves out of participating in life. But I failed before. I can't do it good enough. Look at what happened last time. What if? These statements may disguise fear. Sometimes the fear is disguising shame. After I finished the first 2 chapters of a book I was writing, I read them and grimaced. No good, I thought. Can't do it. I was ready to pitch the chapters in my writing career out the window. A writer friend called, and I told her about my problem. She listened and told me, those chapters are fine. Stop being afraid, stop criticizing yourself, and keep on writing. I followed her advice. The book I almost threw away became a New York Times bestseller. Relax. Our best is good enough. It may be better than we think. Even our failures may turn out to be important learning experiences that lead directly to and are necessary for an upcoming success. Feel the fear, then let it go. Jump in and do it, whatever it is. If our instincts and path have led us there, it's where we need to be. Today, I will participate in life to the best of my ability, regardless of the outcome. That makes me a winner. Oh God, I love this meditation. There's so many things in here that where my mind was going as I was like reading this. And you know, the first one I want to talk about is what if you do fail, and the Emerson quote, that what if you do fail and get fairly rolled in the dirt once or twice? Up again, you shall never be so afraid of a tumble. And I think it's really interesting, and I've talked a lot on here about mistakes I've made in my past and how I really learn from my mistakes. And, it's interesting, I think, there's a bit of an arrogance that comes from people that act like people don't make mistakes, And I think in life, we have to remember that we're all human. We're all going to err. And once you kind of accept that, right? And you accept that you're going to make mistakes in life and you're going to learn from that. Here's the thing, though, right? Is that if you're presented opportunities for growth, opportunities for learning, and you refuse to learn it, then you're refusing the lesson, right? But if you fall down and you get soiled and you get back up, sooner or later, you're going to realize, that there's a lesson behind why you continue to fall down. And you can't be afraid of the lesson. The reality is, I think many of us are really afraid of the lesson because a lesson comes closely aligned to the consequence. But what if the lesson is greater to your overall life than the consequence? But I think people get too afraid of that. I mean, I as well at times, get too afraid of that. And so I think that we have to be, willing to fall down as well. Nobody learns to get back up again if they have never fallen down. That's just a fact of life. Like, that's how we've learned, and I can remember, learning to ride a bike, and I think I just told this story on here not too long ago, but when I was riding a bike, my dad had like this cassette tape. He like recorded my mom in the background, and they took off the training wheels from my bike, and in the background, all you hear is my mom going, pedal, 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 because she was so full of fear, right, that I was going to fall down. Well, you're not going to just get on a bike the first time and probably be the greatest bike rider in the entire world. You're going to learn over time. And I look at all of those things in my life that I feel to some degree that I have become quite good at. And I've only become good at those things by making mistakes, like, that's how we grow as people, and that's how we learn. This ring light is like so bright, isn't it? It's like making me look like a bit like a ghost. Okay, but it's like that's the only way that we really, really learn in life is by falling down. And so I love that quote. I think it's interesting in here where it talks about, but I failed before. We talk ourselves out of participating in life. But I failed before. I can't do it good enough. Look at what happened last time. What if? These statements may disguise fear, but sometimes the fear is disguising shame. And I think that's, fear of redoing something that we've done before, that we don't want to relive that mistake that we made again. Well, who does? And I think that can be in relationships. It's like, I think a lot of times we don't want to get in new romantic relationships because we're so afraid that what if it's a repeat of the last time? But if we were really honest with ourselves, okay, even if we dated 10 people in a row that it didn't work out, I think it's easy for us at some point to compare each person to the last, but the reality is no two people are exactly the same, and no romantic relationship is exactly the same. No friendship is exactly the same. No human interaction is exactly the same. So it's really not fair for us to compare those things, right? And that's a prime example of getting back, and standing up again and saying, getting back on the horse and saying, I'm gonna continue to do this. Like, I'm gonna continue to grow and learn as a human being, and I'm gonna allow myself to have romantic relationships. If you're out there and you've gone through a horrible breakup, maybe, and it's been recent, maybe right now is not the time to get right back into a relationship, but please don't ever rule it out. The greatest romantic relationship of your entire life might be right around the corner, and you might have had to go through a really horrible, hard breakup to get to the point where you're open to love. And I really, really believe that, I believe that it's the bitter and the sweet. I've said it since day one on my videos. I really believe that, it's like, it's the yin and the yang. Like, we wouldn't really understand what true happiness was like unless we at times had true misery. We have to have that. We have to have both, I think the thing about talking ourselves out of things is so interesting to me. I published a book in 2014, and it was really opportunity met desire. I had always had a desire to write a book, even since I was a little kid. I loved going to the library. My mom and I went to the library several times a week. I talk about this on my BookTube channel a lot, and in my vlog, but I always wanted to be part of that world. And when I was a little kid, I made little books. And, once I got into like high school and, I would write books and notebooks with my friends. And, when I was in college, I majored in English in undergraduate school and focused on creative writing. And that was what I wanted to do. And, I wrote many, many short stories and, started many, many books. But as I would start a book, and I've actually shown in my vlog that I have like a notebook with like 30 plus ideas, some of them outlined for books. And, you know, I would start a book, and my cycle would start here, and then would kind of like go all the way around until I was like talked myself out of it. And it would start, and I would say to myself, you know, like, I have a really great idea. Like, I can imagine writing this and whatever. And then I would say, oh my God, like, okay, these are the characters. I'm going to outline it. I would get real excited about it. And I'd be like, this is such a great idea. And like, if I get it done, blah, blah, blah. And then I would get up here and I'd be like, but what do you actually do when you get it done? Like, nobody's going to publish it. It's not that great of an idea. Oh, 3 people already told you it's not this good. It reminds me of this idea, blah, blah, blah. You probably shouldn't write it because nobody's ever going to read it. It's never going to get published. Nothing's going to ever happen to it. You don't start the book. Well, I allowed myself to do that for 20 plus years of my life, when the reality is I might have been able to write a book at 22 or 20 or 15. And from the grand state of Indiana is a fantastic author named Francesca Zappia, who wrote Eliza and Her Monsters, which is one of my favorite books. And she, I think, was 18 years old when she wrote Eliza and Her Monsters, or had it published. You know, so it just proves that people at young age can, you know, accomplish their dreams. And one of the things I always tell people ask me, like, what is something that you wish that you knew at 18, 20 that you know now? One of the things I really, really wish I would have known is that I really believe you can accomplish all of your dreams if you put action to it and believe in yourself at any age. Start early. If you're 18, 19, 16, 20, 25, whatever. I mean, I still feel young at 46, but don't discount your dreams. Go after them. Don't allow fear, okay, of not accomplishing your dreams stand in the way of you not even starting it. And one of the things I have really, really realized in my life is that, like, let's say if, okay, I'm just going to make something up, but like, let's say if my dream was to be a movie star, okay? So I have all this fear of like, oh my God, what would I say when I was accepting my Oscar? Well, I don't know what I would say if I accepted an Oscar, therefore I'm not going to audition for a movie, right? I mean, let's just be for real. But you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, I can't imagine what that would be like. But we talk ourselves out of that. You know, like, I'm insecure, you know, I'm overweight, blah, 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 blah. People won't like me. People will talk about me. I'll never get a role. And then you talk yourself out of it. But let's say if you talk through the fear, right? And you go, okay, I'm going to start acting, and you get involved in community theater. And while you're in community theater, you meet 3 or 4 people, and you guys go to Denny's every night after you have play practice, right? And you do like 5 plays over the next 10 years. And maybe you never make it to LA. Maybe you never get cast in a movie. You know, maybe none of that ever happens. But maybe you met 2 or 1 person that became one of the greatest friends you ever had in your entire life. Maybe you have a love for community theater and part of this group. Maybe they end up doing a play that they would never have done had you not suggested. Maybe your journey isn't to be a movie star. Maybe your journey was to meet this one person and impact their lives. We never really know what our journey is at the time that we're going upon our dream, but the journey is, there's many things that happen. You know, when you read like The Wizard of Oz, there's a lot of things that happened along the way, you know? It wasn't like she just landed there and that was the end of the story and then she went home. I mean, that would be a boring story. There's not a lot to learn there. You know, she had to go on this journey, you know what I mean? She had to go all through this journey, meet 3 people that were going to teach her things, be afraid of the flying monkeys and the Wicked Witch of the East and things like that. You know, and the story of Wizard of Oz is really one of, like, you know, learning about who you really are inside. And I think that life is very similar to that. We can't be afraid of our dreams. We can't be afraid of that journey because we have no idea where that journey is supposed to take us. And when I look back on my life, right, you know, yes, I got sober like at 22 years old, and that has, you know, unbelievably changed my life. I mean, I would be dead right now if it wasn't for that. I know that. I know I would be dead if I hadn't gotten sober when I was 22. I also wouldn't be married to my husband right now, okay? The way that the chain of events that have happened in my life, I would never have met him. I would never have met the greatest friend I have ever had in my entire life that I met through sobriety, my friend Tanya. Had I not gotten sober when I was 22, she wouldn't be in my life. All the experiences that I've had, all the places that we've been, all the people that we've known, all the stories that we've told. She's held my hand through so many things. I've held her hand through so many things. I can't even imagine what that would be like, right? But the day that they told me that you know, you do what we tell you to do and relationships will be renewed in your life, you will stay sober and you'll have peace of mind. Nobody promised me you'll have the greatest friend of your entire life. And Boo Radley hears me talking about his Aunt Tanya, and he said, I want to come and say hi to Aunt Tanya. Well, she's not there right now. So anyway, but you have to be open to the journey, be open to your dreams, and not be afraid of them. So he's now digging in the chair, which means it's time for me to end this video. You know, Embrace your dreams. Don't allow fear to stand in the way of what you want to do with your life. I am so happy that at 46, I have finally figured out I am not allowing anything to stand in the way of my dreams. Life is way too short, and this is not a dress rehearsal. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.